topic of today is about, driving economic growth. And, over the years, I've seen African countries investing in oil and gas, agriculture, manufacturing, IT. But it's only over the last, 1 or 2 years that I've seen more people really looking into the world of fashion. The fashion industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. And it's high time that, we decide to invest in this industry. And what's so interesting is that the fashion industry ticks 4 boxes that every government is interested in. What are those 4 boxes that they tick? Well, first of all, it's about, regional integration. And I would say as well, it's about, stakeholder integration, because ultimately the fashion industry is about an ecosystem that is really going to be very helpful to develop. The second aspect is about financial inclusion, making sure that, we generate revenue for the designer, the team, the ecosystem again, because you will need trade show organizers, digital marketing companies, agents, stores, etc. The third thing is about trade agenda. And I can promise you, you're going to be exporting outside your fashion brand. But a lot of you are talented. You will sell globally, across the UK, of course, Europe, or the US. Make sure you, of course, select the right country for your brand. And the last point that, fashion ticks for governments, which is EDI, ultimately it's about gender and diversity equality. So really 4 things, and fashion will create jobs. Fashion will generate revenue and also export revenue. So, why now? Ultimately, fashion is a powerful, has soft power. And I just need to look at some ladies around and you see how you're well-dressed, how basically your apparel, the jewelries you wear are outstanding. And I can promise you, I can only be thankful, to Queen Ronke for the work she's been doing since 2011, supporting designers, brands out of Africa. She has put, African fashion on the world map. And that is absolutely, exceptional. And on Monday, I've learned that not only she did it, but sometimes it was hard. But, she made some sacrifice to keep on the momentum going. What I want to share my experience over 25 years in the business of fashion. I was really fortunate to work and have a 360 holistic approach of the fashion industry. Having worked with basically brands and retailers every single month for over 25 years. Not only working with designer brands, Calvin Klein, Donna Karan, Mona Lisa, Moschino, Smalto, Sergio Rossi, Versace, and many others, as well as many small, medium-sized companies, and of course, a lot, of startups, young designers, emerging designers. And what you see is that today, they see me as a trusted advisor, a chief operating officer. I love what Peter Walker shared in his presentation. At one stage, there was a quote about execution is key, and it's true. The big idea is important, but you have to go beyond that. And therefore, what we need to try to focus on today is to say, look, are you going to be with me and allowing me to share the ABC of fashion? Let's go back to the fundamentals, to the basics. What's going to be the ABC of fashion? Well, can you please visualize, even if you have to close your eyes for a few seconds, visualize a 3-legged stool. And please remember, if one of the letters is missing, it's not going to work. So we need to be confident that if we want any kind of program, any kind of solution to work in the world of fashion, we've got to have A, B, and C mastered. Otherwise, forget it. Personally, my experience shows me it doesn't work. And I can promise you I've done every company size, and I've done it from the US perspective, because I had to set up an office over there, from a European perspective, and working, over the 5 continents. So I've seen so many young designers, startup companies, investing their own money, friends and family money, and losing it. It breaks my heart. So Could I ask you a favor? Could you raise your hand and tell me, should we stop that? Can you raise your hand and tell me, Thierry, yes, we should stop young designers losing their money? Not because the product is wrong, exactly. Not because the product is wrong. It's because, we're not helping them actually be successful. Building a profitable business. One day, a Nigerian designer went to New York because he was invited. And when he came back, he told me something it's sad on the one hand, but it really talks. It says everything. He told me, Thierry, I think I went on an ego trip. And I'm sure you understand what I mean and what he meant. So yes, it is tough. There's also another thing I need to tell you. Every single month, every season, I see the same mistakes. And because I am 360, I see the same mistakes on sales, on marketing, on logistics, on payments, on management, you name it, recruitment, firing, legal. So why? Do you know that I go to a trade show, I can speak to some designers coming from Africa, come from the US. I can ask them one question, and in 1 minute, I can look at them in the eye and say, you know what? You're not going to take a single order today and over the next 2 to 3 days at the show. So my question is, why are we not giving that element of art and science to the designer? Before he invests $5,000 to $10,000 to lose it, you tell me, it's got to stop, at least for me. So I say that because we are basically throwing them against their business against the wall. We're not allowing jobs to be created, and we're not allowing them to build a business to sustain themselves and their community. So it's Black History Month. So I hope you'll forgive me if I say, I also have a dream. My dream is going to be maybe a little bit different. My dream is to say, how can we support African designers to build a profitable business? I see the same mistakes. So is it fixable? Absolutely. We can do a better job today. Okay? Because I really want to see them building sales profitably, domestically and abroad. So, what are those ABC? The first one is awareness. It works very well. And I'm, again, thankful to Queen Ronke for the job she's been doing since 2011, and many others. It's about, ultimately building brand awareness. It's about showcasing your brand. You need to be visible. I need to be visible. That's important. Now, what is the second point that we need to focus on as well? Is business. Do you believe that all designers have a business mindset and understand business operation? Can you raise your hand if you believe that basically designers master business operations? Yes. Well, I would like to offer you one of the first banknotes. You'll be able to pick it up at the end. However, I would like to say, maybe you're right, but just with 1% or 5% of those designers. The others, if we were to work with them, ongoing, it will be real transformation. Promise. I had a lady who was given the right advice, but when she implemented the 60% margin that the retailer would take, she calculated it wrongly, and she went to a trade show and sold 0. And that, again, I can spot it in less than 1 minute. It hurts. It hurts. Yeah. So we need to push, for a better business mindset, business operations. And unfortunately, how the human mindset and, the human mind could be weak and lazy. So allow me to say that, we're going to have to work on it for maybe many months. But there's also 3 other pillars within the business side that we need to develop, apart from strategy and operations. Management, tools and techniques, leadership, and mindset. Again, pure mindset. If we don't do that, you will see that we're going to be, again, being delayed and losing, leaving money on the table, which again, I would like us not to do. That's why I'm going to need your help. Yeah. The last one is, of course, creativity. And luckily, I'm sure you agree, their creativity is just second to none. Honestly, I've been seeing it from the start in 2011 and even before. You know, I work with some Nigerian designers in Nigeria, others here, and, you know, their talent is really incredible. And by the way, you know, this impact on the business side. When I was invited to Abuja in July for the ADCA conference, I had a young, basically, student who got his picture taken with me. He connected with me on WhatsApp after the show. And basically he told me, Thierry, can you help me? I need 80,000 naira for the visa, for my passport to study abroad. I gave him ideas. I mentored him, you know, honestly, a very short time. He thanked me, and I can show you the WhatsApp afterwards if you wish. He told me, Thierry, ultimately your mentoring was acted like magic with you. Your mentoring was different. It really worked with me. That's his words. And you know what? He told me, Thierry, I was in an orphanage when I was young. So it means that you can have a conversation and still transform the guy. Don't necessarily give him money, but he will find the money because you give him the ideas. And he's resourceful, resilient. By the way, Nigerian are often like that. I understand. So this is a given. The C is mastered, the A is mastered. Can we invest in the B? And if you invest in the B together, I can say you will win, we will win, okay? So what's the solution? But the solution is to say, look, let's invest in the SHIC program. SHIC stands for what? Collaboration. H for holistic. Business holistic. I for innovation. And the C for commerce. And I'm sure you understand, commerce is going to be about money. Again, money, they don't want to be necessarily rich, but they need to be able to sustain the next season's collection. They need to be able to pay for that collection and pay themselves a salary. Otherwise, there's no future, okay? So collaborative, and I would like this program to work on a pan-European, pan-African basis. If we're smart, we would maybe include some countries outside Africa, because I would really like, you know, African designers to see how they're working in Asia, in the Americas, in Europe, so they can have, you know, really somebody who's going to work and think differently. I want to make sure that also, of course, the holistic element is a business holistic approach. Luckily, my experience has been, you know, working with all the fashion stakeholders. You want me to today, I will be happy to answer wholesale, retail, online, bespoke questions. Recruitment, sales, marketing, management, balance sheet, financial statement. Name it, you will see what I'm going to say. And if I'm stuck, I will tell you I'm stuck. So you'll have an honest, you know, answer. But raise those questions and come and pick up a banknote. I'm here to give you money. So, you know, we need to give that business support. Ultimately, I want to make sure I can act as that trusted advisor to guide them the right path to success and be their chief operating officer, helping them execute the plan like Peter Walker mentioned in one of his quotes. The innovation, it's of course the things that we've talked about you know, today, but it's also having an ongoing improvement mindset, okay? And of course, we need to bring an element of sustainability, you know, AI, I would say digital, because of course, those are trends we need to work on and of course, strengthen. And the commerce is about monetization. So we need to make money, and this is going to be the goal. You know, I tell my end conclusion in the world of fashion is to say, look, fashion success is no more about what you know. It's about what you do not know. And why did I bring this iceberg concept and book concept? And it's to say, look, we have to basically understand that there are things we know and things we don't know. And unless we're going to spend time in better education, we're not going to be able to really help those designers succeed. And again, their creativity is, wow, incredible. So I would like to make sure that I ask you a favor. I would like to say, look, could you join me and say, look, We're Friday. We have a 2-day weekend. I know some are working tomorrow, but could you say yes to the proposition to say, look, on Monday, we start working on the plan, on the program. Let's put some foundation forward. So who's going to agree with me to start the program, thinking about it, brainstorming about it, and get those designers from Africa to succeed internationally? Because they have the creativity to make it happen. So are you going to be ready to join me? Can you raise your hand? Yes? I don't hear you. Yes. Look, I really thank you. I would welcome your questions, but then Charles might be putting a need to basically push the questions maybe at the end, but I will welcome to speak to you at any time. And definitely, the one big idea is, please, let's invest in the business of fashion. Let's support those designers the way they need it to build a sustainable, a financial sustainable brand. So thank you very much, and of course, enjoy the rest of the afternoon.